introduce our panelists today, who are Supreme President of the Order of AHEPA, Savas Cívicos, and the Daughters of Penelope Grand President Marianthi Tripedi. So today's panel is on volunteerism and the global goals. As we all know, a big part of the United Nations mission is mobilizing volunteers and advocating for volunteers to enable more people to be directly involved in humanitarian, peace building, and post-conflict recovery, as well as sustainable development and poverty eradication. Volunteerism is an instrumental part of the AHEPA and the Daughters of Penelope's mission, as the organizations rely on volunteers to not only engage people to become involved in philanthropic, educational, and charitable activities, but also to serve as a bridge to foster enhanced relations between countries, sometimes in a track-to diplomacy role or through people-to-people ties. So to get started, I would like our panelists to give us some brief remarks about themselves and, of course, about the organization. Mr. Cívicos, tell us about yourself and about the Order of AHEPA.
Thank you for this opportunity to George Sifakis and to you for moderating today's forum. I'm a veteran of the organization, having served in many different positions, and since July I have the distinct honor and privilege, which comes with a great responsibility, by the way, to be the Supreme President of this noble organization, which celebrates 101 years since its founding in 1922 in Atlanta, Georgia. The organization basically started, as I said, over 100 years ago to help the new immigrants of Greek descent to assimilate into the new environment, into the new society. And basically his primary purpose was to bring people together. And he has done an outstanding job of doing so. In the process, the community really grew, and today we are very proud to say that we are one of the most successful communities here in the United States, fully assimilated with the American society. And we are very proud that we have so many successful Greek Americans in so many different positions. Our motto is to defend Hellenism, to promote education, philanthropy, civic responsibility, and individual and family excellence. And that's basically what it's all about. I don't know if you need me to address anything else, but I think as a prologue, I covered your question.
Thank you. Ms. Tripedi?
Yes, thank you for having us today here and for the IDEA Global Summit. My name is Marianthi Tripedi, and I am the Grand President of the Daughters of Penelope, and that is a sister organization to the AHEPAs. And I come from Spokane, Washington, but I grew up here in New York City, and I joined the AHEPA family when I was a teenager as a maid of Athena. And when I moved to Spokane, I joined the Daughters of Penelope to continue with my Greek heritage, because Spokane's a small city and not too many Greeks, so this was a way to stay connected. And like Mr. Cívicos, I grew into the position. The Daughters of Penelope started 94 years ago. And our founder, Alexandra Apostolidis, from San Francisco, saw a need for women to assimilate as the AHEPAns into the American culture. And the mission also is the same as the AHEPA, the Daughters' mission. Unity, family and individual excellency, education, philanthropy, civic responsibility. And we are committed, and we empower women to make great gains to help. We help women all over the world realize their dreams and leadership potential. That's what the Daughters of Penelope are.
Thank you for that. So both organizations are rich in history and have accomplished so much throughout the years. But like we said, this of course would not be possible without volunteers. And obviously both organizations, all members, including yourselves, are volunteers. So Mr. Tsivicos, as Supreme President of the organization, what qualities do the AHEPA chapters look for when recruiting a volunteer member?
Well, the first one is to identify who is a volunteer. Not everybody gives back. That's a fact. There are certain people that have it in their DNA to give back to their community, back to society, back to their organization. So, and you can identify those because if you are at a church setting, for example, you know who is volunteering, who is working. Those are the people that you will try to attract. Number two, you need people that identify with the mission of the organization. And number three, you identify people that have the potential to step up to the plate and also offer their talent, their treasure to the organization. But as I said, not everybody is a volunteer. Not everybody is cut out for being a volunteer. So it's very important to identify those that at least give you the impression that who are willing to give their time for the common good.
Absolutely. Mr. Petey?
Yes, we recruit women who are willing to give sustained service to our organization and to our community. We need the workers, we need the people who support our mission, and people who enjoy working with others. We need people who will work throughout the year, not just one project. We just need the workers. And there are many people who are willing to volunteer in that way, at least in the women's society.
The last thing that I omitted to identify is while we are attracting new members, what is most important for us is to identify future leaders. Yes. Because the succession is the most important task. Mm-hmm. And every successful leader won't be successful if he's not able to prepare the next day. So amongst the potential members, we always look for the qualities of a leader because we want to be around for another 100 years.
Absolutely. The qualities you mentioned are exactly what is needed for volunteers to change mindsets by raising awareness or championing those changes and inspiring others. What are some examples of this within the Daughters of Penelope? Mr. Petey.
Well, the key is to court problems that each chapter can successfully address, which varies greatly from chapter to chapter. But the Daughters of Penelope do have some specific goals that we champion. For example, in the last 6 years, we've partnered with Meals on Wheels America. And my initiative this year is to, at the chapter level, I want them to work with their local Meals on Wheels community and help fight the senior hunger by either fundraising or volunteering for the organization. That's my initiative for this year. We also, as the Daughters of Penelope, we work for women. And one of our main missions is to help domestic violence people, whether actually women, but we do have 2 shelters, Penelope House in Mobile, Alabama, and Penelope's Place in Brockton, Massachusetts, and these are domestic violence shelters for our women. But not only women, we work for children. We give scholarships to seniors in high school, college students, graduate students through our Daughters of Penelope Foundation. And we also work with Limitless Solutions. That's through the University of Central Florida. They provide prosthetic 3D arms, 3D prosthetics, I should say, to children free to the family. And that is a big mission there for us. We also partner with our HEPA brothers and work and donate and do whatever we need to do when there's a natural disaster like fires or floods. And I'm sure Brother Savas will talk more about that. And you know, every little bit helps that we do.
And it's important to highlight again that this is all done by the work of
Volunteers. Yes, exactly. It's all volunteer work. We're all volunteers.
And like you just mentioned, Mr. Tsivikos, you recently did a call to action and launched another philanthropic campaign to help support the massive floods and fires that took place within Greece just a few months ago. Can you tell us a little bit more about the disaster relief and aid that HEPA has provided over the years?
It is unfortunate that every time there is a disaster in Greece or here in the United States, we have to rush and raise funds in order to be helpful. Unfortunately, what happened this year, though, here at home, and especially in Hawaii, where we raised funds to help our brothers down there, especially in Greece, there was a disaster of a new magnitude. The flooding and the wildfires devastated entire areas. So my first action was to declare the emergency relief fund. And I have to say that I'm very proud of our brothers, our volunteers, have been on the front line from day one, rescuing people, cleaning houses, renovating schools, providing supplies to hospitals, providing directly to the families monetary help. And it was acknowledged by the Prime Minister of Greece, by the way, by the Minister of Health, by the Minister of Education. These actions translate into hundreds of thousands of dollars. We had one of our members who has a factory in Greece, and he must have donated over $100,000 of supplies to the local hospital in Volos. So it's very important, and again, it's unfortunate that the result of these catastrophes mobilize and motivate our membership. Mm-hmm. But even though we Greeks are known to come together when there is a crisis, we would like to maybe retrain them to be as proactive as they are during the crisis on a daily basis. But we are very proud of the work that has been taking place. The effort continues because since the first disaster, a second one followed about 3-4 weeks ago, 3-4 weeks later, and whatever was standing, unfortunately, it was no longer. So we believe that giving back to the community, giving back to society, it's very, very important. And when our fellow men and women need our help, we're there, and it's very much appreciated by those affected. And as we say in Greek, when you're in a difficult position, that's when you appreciate the true friends.
Thank you. So I got the 5-minute warning, so hopefully we'll get these 2 questions in. So volunteer organizations such as HEPA and the Daughters of Penelope can serve as brokers of engagement, connecting governmental strategies and initiatives with complementary yet essential community voluntary action. Mr. Tsouvikos, can you give us a few examples of this as it relates to AHEPA?
All right, I need half an hour for the examples, but since we have 5 minutes, I will give you a two-minute answer.
Okay.
A perfect example is our cooperation with other community organizations. We have established a few years ago in the early 90s a new cooperation with the Jewish community here in the United States. And that has matured to the level of having a tri-state journey every 2 years, visiting Greece, Cyprus, and Israel, and meeting with the government at the highest level, prime ministers, presidents, ministers, and that's where our cooperation really makes a difference, because we are able to communicate directly with the governments, hear them out, and at the same time, when we come back in the United States, we're able to promote and project that agenda as far as the relations between Israel, Greece, Cyprus, and the USA. And it has been a very successful example. We are about to embark on another trip in this coming January, and I hope the world is a better place by then, so we can have this trip.
Thank you. And as you mentioned, the annual Hill Days have led to not only increased membership in the Congressional Hellenic Caucus, but led to co-sponsorship of legislation supporting United States and Greece relations. So it's very important to know.
Absolutely, and our civic engagement plays a very important role in collaborating with other like-minded organizations in the United States. So when we approach our elected officials, especially the congressmen and the senators, it's very important that we project a common agenda. That way we become more effective, because those of you that have visited Washington, you know that there are millions and millions of people competing who is going to get the 1 or 2 minutes of the congressman or the senator's attention. Mm-hmm. So the more the merrier, and I must say that we have been very successful over the years.
Absolutely. Ms. Tripedi?
And the Daughters of Penelope also lobby with the government for the Violence Against Women's Act and the Crimes Against and the Crime Act. And that is to support our women's projects like the domestic violence shelters and so on. So we also do attend the Capitol Hill Day and talk to our congresspeople or their offices anyway to get that support. So we too do the government and the work that we need to do to pass what we think is important for women and children.
Absolutely.
By the way, we need a few more good men and a few more good women. We have applications here. I see many of you are so interested. The expressions are overwhelming. Please make sure you fill out the applications.
Absolutely. And like Marianthe said, it's all about unity. So we also, the Daughters of Penelope and AHEPA work together and also work with outside organizations in order to collaborate. So my last question is, many of the sustainable global goals call for a long-term attitude and behavior changes. It's evident from your responses that AHEPA and DOP volunteers have a positive attitude and a strong connection to the work the organizations engage in. So Mr. Tsouvikos, in an effort to provide tips to other organizations, other NGOs who are recruiting volunteers, in your experience and opinion, what are just maybe 1 or 2 challenges, and what's the best way to retain these volunteers and keep them motivated, keep them inspired to do the good work that the organizations are doing?
Well, number 1 is to make them feel that they can make a difference. If that feeling is not there, then they are turned off. And also they have to feel included. They have to feel that they matter. Their opinion counts. That's one thing that we have to really work on. As far as the effect of that, we have seen it in the relations between Greece, Cyprus, and the United States, and Israel, the 3+1. I think our organizations, because we call ourselves the HEPA family, we have played a very important role, being the only grassroots organization in the country, having presence in every congressional district in the United States and now around the world. I think we are very effective when we approach our elected officials. But it's very important, and we have done it in the past, Elena. When you go into a congressional district, you are not going to mobilize hundreds and hundreds of people or thousands of people. But if you can identify 3, 4 leaders in that respective community that happen to be members, and in most cases they are, and they have a relationship with the elected official, that's how you cut through the bureaucracy, get to the decision makers, either the elected official himself or the chief of staff or the foreign policy advisor, where you can present your case. So make people feel important, make them feel that their hard work counts and makes a difference.
Mr. Petey, would you like to add, since we're in the final minute?
Oh, sustainability is critical, and you don't get volunteers unless you ask, because most of them will not come up and say, hey, I want to join your organization. I mean, some do, but most will not. So you have to go out there, let them know what we're about, let them know that why we joined, and let them, but the most important part is to retain them. And retainment is crucial, and that's by showing that you will work with them and that they make a difference. And if they have a special talent or anything that they can give to the organization, make sure you push that for them and that. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Thank you. We want to thank NASDAQ, obviously. We want to thank CEO and founder of Ideagen, George Sifakis, for all the work that he does and his dynamic team does. Of course, to all you industry leaders today for creating the positive change that you do to make the world a better place, and for including the Daughters of Penelope in AHEPA today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Job well done.